The Book of Deuteronomy. Literally, the title Deuteronomy means second law, and it is the last book in the Pentateuch, the last of the 5 books of Moses. It completes the collection of the books that were attributed to him. As was taught earlier, the 5 books attributed to Moses are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. They are also known as the Torah for the Israelites. For Christians, the 5 books of Moses are known as the Pentateuch. The 5 books of Moses are the historical books of the ancient Israelites from the time of creation to just before they enter the Promised Land. Whereas the first law was given directly from God to Moses in Leviticus and written down, Deuteronomy is where Moses gives the law to the Israelites. This is why the title is Deuteronomy, which literally means the second law. It was delivered by Moses to his successor, Joshua. The overarching theme throughout all of the 5 books of the Pentateuch is that because of the fall of man in paradise, mankind tended to sinfulness by not obeying the laws God had given them. They did not have faith that God would provide for them. They kept looking back at their time in bondage in Egypt when they had the physical necessities of food and water provided to them, and were not grateful to the Lord for their release from Egyptian bondage. Even though the Israelites continually doubted that God would provide for them, God always did. The Lord continually worked at keeping his chosen people with him. It should be highlighted also that God was always living among his people, initially in paradise, and then in the wilderness in the tent of the tabernacle, leading them to the Promised Land. This theme of God living among his people and working to help them towards salvation has its full realization in the New Testament in the incarnation of God in the flesh, Jesus Christ. As noted by many Orthodox theologians, the most prominent difference between the Book of Deuteronomy and the other 4 books of the Pentateuch is that in the other 4 books of Moses, Yahweh's choice of the Israelites as his people and their gift of land, as was promised in Genesis, was unconditional. However, in Deuteronomy, Yahweh's choice of Israel as his holy people and his gift of land to them, which was promised in Genesis, becomes now conditional. In Deuteronomy, the gift of land to Israel was done as really a punishment to the former inhabitants of Canaan, who were guilty of the very same sins as the Israelites. So it was imperative that this generation hold fast to the laws of God that he had given them when they go into Canaan to possess what was previously built by those who would be annihilated. According to some theologians, the book of Deuteronomy is structured in the form of a sermon that can be divided into 3 speeches of Moses. Preamble, 1 to 443, main sermon, 444 to 2868, and epilogue, 29 to 30. Deuteronomy is Moses' last speech to the Israelites before he died, and was most likely meant to help the Israelites stay faithful to the Lord and to follow his commandments so they could enter the Promised Land.